The Senate is expected to vote today on whether to confirm President Trump's pick for Education Secretary Linda McMahon. We do want to show you the Senate floor here where that vote could happen quickly. McMahon, a former wrestling executive tasked by the president to dismantle the same agency she's been nominated to lead. ABC's Jay O'Brien is live from Capitol Hill on the latest for us. So, Jay, I know you've been following the story closely, and this vote, again, scheduled for this evening. What are you hearing from lawmakers right now about generally her chances at confirmation here?
She's going to have a pretty smooth path to confirmation, Kana. We haven't seen any kind of Republican defections like some other of Donald Trump's hand-picked cabinet picks have received. Remember, there's been no Trump nominee that's been voted down on the Senate floor. The closest that came to that was Pete Hegseth when Vice President J.D. Vance had to step in, provide that tie-breaking vote. That's what gets Hegseth over the goal line. Mitch McConnell, Lisa Murkowski, Susan Collins, etc., they vote against Hegseth. Nothing like that for Linda McMahon or some of the other things that faced some of Donald Trump's more controversial cabinet picks. But McMahon, again, not considered a controversial cabinet pick, but what she's decided to do with the Department of Education is getting a lot of pushback, particularly from Democrats. Linda McMahon has said that she's going to follow through with this pledge of President Trump's to essentially get rid of the Department of Education, to try to staff out a lot of its work to the states, to try to move some of the things it does to various federal agencies, and essentially try to gut the department. Now, you can't get rid of the Department of Education without an act of Congress. The Department of Education was created by an act of Congress, and only an act of Congress passing a bill can get rid of it. That's what Democrats have repeatedly brought up here. But Linda McMahon has said she's going to try to, A, create a plan to do that, and B, in the meantime, trying to winnow down the department by drips and drabs and reduce essentially its work and influence, Kana.
Yeah, and Jay, I know it was a bit of a surprise, right, the first time she sort of acknowledged that she is prepared to work herself out of a job, I suppose. What was the reaction there on Capitol Hill to that acknowledgement?
And again, that was language from essentially President Trump. He said he likes McMahon as a cabinet pick, but he wants her to, as you say, and these are somewhat his words, work herself out of a job. There's been serious pushback from Democrats on that. Remember that dramatic scene with Democrats yanking on those locked doors at the Department of Education as a kind of a demonstration to try to say that they wanted to meet with senior leaders at that department about what was going on and what the Trump administration's plan for that department was. So expect Democrats to push back on this idea of passing legislation to eliminate the Department of Education. And depending on how that legislation is put forward, in the Senate, when you need 60 votes to pass anything and you need a chunk of Democratic votes to get to that 60 votes, you would, in theory, need Democrats on board with getting rid of the Department of Education if you were to try to get a bill through the Senate to do that. And it doesn't look like they would have that Democratic support, at least right now.
And if that is their goal, boy, the time is now, because midterms aren't that far away. Jay O'Brien, our thanks to you as always.